What up, everyone? And thank you for tuning in to the Skol State of Mind podcast. And if this is your first time seeing me, welcome to the show. Now, we got to dive into the Minnesota Vikings versus the Cleveland Browns takeaway and reactions. Coming into this game, I felt it was imperative that the Vikings find some kind of way to beat the Cleveland Browns in London. I would say by any means necessary. Now, I do understand that it is early in the season and we shouldn't be throwing terms around like must win, but I'm going to say it again. I felt this was a must win for the Vikings, especially with the bye week coming directly after this game. And it looks way better starting the season off as 3-2 going into your bye versus 2-3 going into your bye, especially with the schedule getting extremely challenging down the stretch. Now, I'm just going to give you guys a little insight on what I'm going to talk about within this video. We're going to dive into Kevin O'Connell's offense, Brian Flores' defense. I'm going to give you guys an updated injury report, sprinkle a little bit about some top performers and what I think about what's going, forward with this team. So tune in. I got a great show for y'all. And I'm going to say it again. Thank y'all for tuning in. So let's start off with the offensive breakdown. Now, look, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I would say the Minnesota offense had a solid day, minus the costly mistakes, basically those two fumbles from Xavier Scott and Jordan Mason. It is what it is. We can't take those plays back, but it's just happy that the Vikings were able to overcome those early turnovers to kind of, get this victory at the end of the day. And of course, I got to talk about Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson continues to amaze me no matter who's at quarterback. He don't give a shit about who's throwing the ball. He is going to put up elite numbers all across the board. And it's just amazing to see that Justin Jefferson takes that business, mentality of I'm going to go out there and do my job. And, I'm going to give this team, the best version of myself every time I go out there. And if I do that, we should win some games. Now, one thing that did stand out to me earlier in this game was the benching of Jordan Addison in the first quarter, which was really strange. Now, we're going to circle back to that a little bit later, but let's talk about more on the offense. All right. Offensively, I would say this was one of them games where I really missed Aaron Jones. And I think Xavier Scott is going to be a good third option back on this team. But as of right now, he's still in those development stages. And some plays, I kind of felt like, damn, I really miss Aaron Jones. And I want to, go back to that Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, tandem that we felt was going to be a 1-2 punch this offseason. Now, the tight ends didn't contribute much, but the bright spot, in my opinion, was Blake Brandel. He played well considering this was his first time at center, right? I mean, dude never played center in the actual game. He's only practiced it, a few times just to be like the emergency backup. And you know how it goes. When the announcers don't mention you too much, that means you must be doing something right. Now, there was a bit of a scare from Carson Wentz before the halftime. I think he had some kind of a shoulder injury. Yeah, he was out there trying to do his Josh Allen impersonation, trying to run over people, and he kind of dinged his shoulder. I mean, you got some people that was talking about Max Brosmer was going to come in. We did see Max Brosmer a little bit where he basically, niggled the ball to go out, for halftime just to run the clock out. But Carson Wentz came back in and he was able to finish the game, which was great. And lastly, Kevin O'Connell finally got a trick play to work. He put in Cam Akers behind center at quarterback, and he completed a pass in the end zone to Josh Oliver for a touchdown. All right, Kevin O'Connell, You did a good job there, but let's not see that too many times. Y'all know how I feel about Kevin O'Connell trick plays. All right. So let's keep it moving and let's get into this defensive breakdown. All right. Man, and I'm gonna always admit when I'm wrong on this channel. That's how we keep it transparent. But the defense had an up and down game, but I would say they stepped up when they needed to the most. And they got the stops on third down and some on fourth down to basically just, dead drives. But with that being said, this run defense is starting to be a real big concern. It seems like other teams have figured out the Vikings are not great stopping the run. And I don't know if a trade is looming or Blake Cashman coming off of IR and Van Ginkel getting healthy. Will that stop the run? But I don't know what they can do. But like I said earlier, the bye week is right around the corner, and maybe they can figure these type of things out. As for the secondary plays solid. I mean, if you look at Dillon Gabriel didn't really look like a quote unquote rookie quarterback. He was poised in the pocket sometimes. I mean, he made the right moves, but I will say the game got away from the Cleveland Browns, per se. But if we talk about the run game a little bit too, I was really, really, like enthusiastic that the Vikings would kind of figure out what to do on the run. But it seems like when it's concerning the run, teams are getting what they want when they want, and that can be a problem because those runs start to, sustain drives, down the field, and they just bleed the clock. So I think the Vikings gotta figure out, something. The day wasn't perfect on defense, but hey, I gotta go back to it. They got the win. Now, if we talk about special teams, man, Miles Price continues to be a bright spot on special teams. He's electric in the return game, and that's both of them. That's punt returns and that's kick returns. And I'm telling y'all right now, eventually he gonna take one to the house. Eventually he gonna break one. I just see like he's able to find these holes, in the punt return and kick return. He gonna break one. Like he gonna break one soon, man. I can't wait. Now we can talk about Will Riker's miss, but Will the Thrill has been solid all season. So I'm really not going to harp on that too much right now. I mean, it is what it is. The miss didn't really cost us. So hey, it is what it is, man. It's neither here or there. It's something they got to work on. But let's get to the top performers. All right. Now, y'all already know. There's no surprise. Justin Jefferson continues to put elite numbers no matter who's at center. And he's on pace not to be one of the greatest Vikings receivers ever, but to be one of the greatest receivers ever in NFL history. I think last week he, top third on the all-time Minnesota Vikings list. So if you look at that Vikings list right now of top receivers in Viking history, you got Chris Carter, Randy Moss, and Justin Jefferson. Oh my God. Like what a list to be on, man. And my second top performer is Blake Brandel. Like he was thrown into the situation as the emergency center, Brian, not Brian Kelly, sorry. Ryan Kelly placed on IR for 4 weeks. And Michael Jurgens had a hamstring injury. And he was the emergency center, and he actually, did well in this spot. I'm not going to say, hey, he needs to play center for the rest of the season, but it's good to know that in a tight spot, he was able to perform. And he probably only had a handful of snaps, his whole career, like trying to play center. He actually played no center snaps in the actual game. And I just feel like I have to like in this video give him, his flowers because damn, like for real, like I was scared for a minute. Like I'm like, man, Blake Brandel, he hasn't really played great at guard. He was converted from from a tackle to a guard, and now he's playing center. Like they're just moving this dude, all around the line. But he was able to perform. So I gotta give him his flowers. Now we can keep it moving. So let's let's talk about these areas of concern. All right. First off, we're gonna circle back to it. The run defense. It's glaring. The Vikings need to fix this. Whatever they can do, personnel changes or guys coming back from injury or injury reserve, they got to figure it out. And I already talked in depth about, the run defense when we talked about the defense, as a whole. But secondly, Jordan Addison's situation, missing a team walkthrough in London. Like, I don't, like, what were you doing? How did you miss a team walkthrough? Missing a team walkthrough and getting benched for the first quarter does not look good on Jordan Addison part, especially after he just served a 3-game suspension. Addison is young, and I truly hope he learns. And it's just kind of weird that you have Justin Jefferson, who is arguably, the best receiver in this game, and he's highly marketable. He's on like every other commercial when you're watching the game. I mean, he got his own cereal, and I feel like Justin Jefferson like doesn't have many off the field issues, but I don't understand like what it is with Addison that he continues to, do things, off the field that basically is going to, hinder his performance on the field. I hope he figures things out, but I just don't want to hear about this shit no more. So let's stay moving ahead. Let's looking forward, man. Looking forward. Now, looking forward, I think the bye came at a perfect time for the Minnesota Vikings. With the Vikings currently sitting at 3-2, they're right there in the mix for the NFC playoff picture. Beating the Browns in London is huge because it gives them momentum, for the second stretch of the season, especially heading to the bye with all those injuries. It's like an extra week, for guys to heal. And one guy like I can't wait to see, coming back after the bye is, Donovan Jackson and Blake Cashman. I can't wait. Now we can talk about guys like JJ McCarthy, Aaron Jones. When we talking about JJ McCarthy, I think as soon as McCarthy's healthy, he will be, back at center, not back at center, back under center. And I just feel like Carson Wentz played a solid game. So I'm not trying to throw any shade, but I just feel like we all know who's the QB1 on this team, and it really shouldn't be, a discussion. And hopefully, with this bye, guys can really come back actually healthy and they can gel together and start stacking wins. And I'm sure Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah is already exploring options to strengthen this team. Is it, bringing guys off the practice squad, or is it, signing guys off the streets, or maybe even, trading some of those draft picks to get, some players in here to kind of like, fill some of those voids. So that's all I got for y'all, man. And I really appreciate y'all. So, we're gonna get up out of here. And that's a wrap, man. And y'all already know. Oh, excuse me, my voice. sorry. That's gonna be a wrap for it on this one, you guys. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking to you guys about the breakdown. If you, haven't subscribed to the channel already, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Y'all already know how that works. It's much appreciated, but y'all know how I end it. Skol, baby.